Hello friends, Shadrack here. So about a month ago, I released the official trailer of my debut film. It's a documentary, it's a short documentary titled Semblance Realism, and the feedback I've gotten so far has been so chef kiss. It's been so amazing. And I mean, some of what was said was concerning the visual design, the cinematography, and the lighting. And you guys know there's no way I'm going to drop something as awesome as this and not talk about the lighting breakdown. So if you've not seen the trailer, you should definitely go check it out on my YouTube channel. So this film, Semblance Realism, follows the journey of a young Nigerian artist, his daily life, and his project 100, which uses art to fund education for African children. It's a beautiful movie. It's gone for several international film festivals, and I can't wait to officially release it to the general public in the coming months. So we are going to just quickly talk about two scenes, the lighting breakdown of two scenes in this film. One of it is this one you are seeing right here. I'm sure you can already see the before and the after. You guys know that I always like to keep my films moody. I always have a look in mind, and I said this in my last lighting breakdown that as a cinematographer, it's always advisable, it's always best to have a look and feel, a mood in mind before lighting your scene and all of that. To be honest, for this film, we didn't really do too much because we had very limited time. We had no time to do light setups and all of that. But I'm glad that with the little light we had, with the little time we had, we were able to come up with something as beautiful, as demure, as mindful as this. And I'm glad that people have been talking about it, and that gives me so much joy. So let's quickly jump straight to the lighting breakdown of this particular scene right here. You should be able to already tell that there were just two light sources here. We used three lights actually. Before I jump straight to the lighting breakdown, let me just quickly talk about what the equipment we used to film this. To be honest with you, this was shot a year ago, right? And this was shot on a Sony a7 III. Yes, a photography camera, and it was shot on HLG3, not S-Log. It was shot on HLG3 on a 50mm 50mm lens. That was the only lens we used for this film. All through this film, we used the Sony 50mm f1.8 lens on the Sony a7 III. This is what the before looks like. You see what it looks like. It's not as flat as your S-Log 3, and I'm glad that we were even able to grade it, and we had very beautiful outcome from the HLG. All I'm trying to say in essence is that it doesn't matter the kind of camera you use. All that matters is the talent behind the camera. The person behind the camera. How well do you understand your camera? How well do you understand how to properly expose your shots and light your scene and all of that? And for the lighting, like I said, we use three lights for this film, and the first light, which is the key light, is the Yongnuo YNLUX100. It's a bicolor LED light which was set to 5600 Kelvin at 25%. And yes, so we had the Yongnuo YNLUX100 bicolor LED light set to 5600 Kelvin at 25%. Right, and that was the key light. It's just coming from above. It's kind of like an overhead light. And we had the backlight, which also served as a moonlight coming through the window just right behind the subject. It's Godox TL30. It's a tube light which was set to blue at 60%. Right, and it was just coming right behind him like so. And the third light was a Simmor vibe. Can't really remember the model number right now, and it was placed right in front. Simmor vibe pocket lights, let's just put it like that. It was set to around, I guess, 3200 Kelvin at 12%. Yeah, sure of that. 12% of intensity. Yes, and it was just coming from right here, like so. Now the reason why the Simmor vibe was placed right here was because for the opening scene of the film, there was a place where the character or the subject, there was a lantern in front in his workspace, so he, put on the lantern and just placed it right there, right somewhere around here. So because we couldn't use the lantern, the light source from the lantern, we had to use a kind of like a practical light to mimic the light coming from the lantern. So you are going to think the light source you are seeing is actually from the lantern. It's kind of like a motivated light from the lantern. So yes, that was why we had the Simmor vibe pocket lights right there. And that's basically what we did here, to be honest. Honestly, that was just it. As simple as that. So for my camera spec, like I said again, we shot on the Sony A7 Mark III camera, and we shot HLG3 on a Sony 50mm f1.8 lens. Yeah, so that's basically the camera spec. And yes, my friends, this is just how we lit this scene. It was just as simple as this, to be honest. So let's do a quick recap. The key light was the Yongnuo YNLUX100, which was set to 5600 Kelvin at 25%, and it's an overhead light, right? So basically it was on a C-stand just above the subject, and we had the backlight, which served as a moonlight coming through the window, and it's the Godox TL30 set to blue at 60%, placed just right behind the subject. There's a room there, so we placed it in the room, so it's just coming through the room, so it looks like a light source coming through the window. And we had this light here, so it was supposed to be a motivated light coming from a lantern, which was placed close to the subject, and it's the Simmor vibe pocket light from Small Rig. It was set to 3200 Kelvin at 12%, and my friends, that's basically everything that went down for this particular scene. It was shot on the Sony A7 III at HLG3, and it was shot on the Sony 50mm f1.8 prime lens. Yes, so like I said, the entire film was shot on a 50mm f1.8 prime lens. Yes guys, so this is basically what we did here, and I'm glad that it came out very, very beautiful. Once again, this is what the before looks like. So this is before, right? You can see everything is well exposed, even though we're filming at HLG. I mean, it was even easier, to be honest. It was even easier to shoot on HLG than shooting on S-Log3. But if you already understand the technicality behind all of these picture profiles, it's going to be easy for you to be able to expose any kind of picture profile. So yeah, and this is after, right? So it looks very demure, very mindful, visually stunning, that's the word. So guys, that was basically everything we did for this scene. So let's move quickly to the next scene, which kind of looks a bit different, not totally different, right? So this is the final shot. This is the final graded shot. This is what it looks like. Basically, it was exact same lighting, right? Exact same lighting. And the reason why I just quickly want to talk about this particular scene, before that, let me show you the before. So this is what the before looks like. You can see well exposed and all of that. So let me just quickly talk about a few things. What you would immediately notice for this scene is, number one, this light source right here, right? And if you look, one thing I love about this particular scene is, the rim. I love it so much. So we're able to separate the subject from the background using the overhead light, and that was why we decided to go with an overhead lighting. And yes, and I'm glad that it came out very beautiful. So this light source right here is actually from outside, from the door. So basically we shot this during the day and the door was a little bit open. I just needed it to be a little bit open. Let's just have a light source there so everything is not just blanked out. So that was why we had to open the door a little bit. And yes, that's basically it. So guys, I'm sure you've learned a thing or two from this lighting breakdown. I wish you can try it out on your own. Just enjoy, experiments, keep practicing, and that's the way you can become better at lighting properly. I mean, I'm still learning and I'll keep learning. Learning is endless. I mean, you can't have the whole knowledge in the world, so you have to keep learning, and that's the only way you become better and a master at your craft. So I'm glad to be able to share this lighting breakdown with you guys. So if you find this helpful and interesting, please don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section what you feel. If there's anything, any kind of lighting breakdown you like me to do, or anything you like to see on this channel, please be free to share it with me, and I'll be glad to do so. So guys, I'll see you in my next video. Graced.